I am opening the forum for only 2 minutes in the beginning, and for the queries for the last session, and then I'll continue, and then we'll take breaks after each unit for a question answer round. So if anybody has anything to ask from the last what we did last time, are please free to ask. You can kindly raise your hands. Oh, anybody? I can't see any raised hands as of now.
I think there is no question, ma'am.
Okay.
There is no question, ma'am.
Mr. Hakim, I was told that the last session was recorded. संतोष जी, last session record हुआ था क्या?
यस मैम, रिकॉर्ड हुआ था.
Yes, Mr. Hakim, it was recorded. So, okay. So I'll be now sharing my screen. Just give me a minute. Is my screen visible to you all?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we can see that.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
What can you see right now?
Download.
I think it's
Download.
downloads folder.
Your
Yes,
computer
yes,
screen,
yes.
ma'am.
But here, just a minute. Right. Hmm.
Now it is appeared.
You are muted, ma'am.
Is Unit 4 visible now?
No, we
Yes,
are
ma'am.
just
Yes.
can
No, sir.
see
We
the download folder.
मैम यूनिट 4 ओपन करिए मैम, अभी केवल विंडो दिख रहा है आपको.
yes, sir.
मैं
Yes,
यूनिट 4 ही ओपन मैं यूनिट 4 ही ओपन कर रही हूँ, लेकिन
लेकिन मैम आपने ना विंडो शेयर कर दिया है, तो जो आपका ब्राउजर वो शेयर हो रहा है. आपको अपना वर्ड वाला विंडो शेयर करना चाहिए था.
मैंने विंडोज इंटायर
हाँ
स्क्रीन करूँ?
इंटायर स्क्रीन करेंगे तो हो जाएगा फिर आप अगर अपना विंडो खोल खोलिए।
ठीक है। Can you can't share your screen?
No, sir, not possible, not visible.
I know, I'm trying. Just a second. There is some problem. संतोष जी वो कह रहे हैं you can't share your screen, जबकि मैंने पिछली बार शेयर किया था।
अच्छा,
होता है, आप शेयर क्लिक करेंगे
मैं शेयर पे क्लिक कर
तो
रही हूँ, मैंने इस पे गया, मैंने शेयर किया, लिखकर आ रहा है can't share your screen. Okay.
एक मिनट है।
स्टॉप शेयरिंग। अब करती हूँ फिर से। entire screen share।
जो शेयर करेंगे मैम बीच वाले टैब में विंडो आ रहा है, विंडो पे सिलेक्ट करेंगे
हाँ
तो
हाँ,
आपको वर्ड वाली फाइल जो आपने खोल रखी थी।
विंडो से नहीं हो रहा था, मैंने पहले विंडो से ही किया था। पहले मैंने विंडो से ही किया था।
हाँ अब ठीक है मैम, अब अभी आपका स्क्रीन शेयर हो रहा है, लेकिन आप अपना वो यूनिट 4 खोलिए, अब आ जाएगा शेयर।
अभी ठीक है
हाँ
मैम, it's
ठीक है।
visible. We can
Yes,
see
yes,
the
I know, I
mouse
can see
pointer.
that. Yes, I can see that. And I will now open my document of Unit 4. I think it's a little slow for some reason.
यस मैम, इट्स विजिबल।
It's visible now?
यस मैम।
yes, sir, yes, we can see.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I will close my camera. No, I will. Can you still see it?
Yes, sir, visible.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Right. So in Unit 4 of Block 1, we'll be discussing about self-employment and entrepreneurship development. Now, last time I was talking and we were discussing that how important it is for the rural people in India or even elsewhere, even in Afghanistan, to have other options of employment, other options of earnings besides just agriculture. So the government realized this problem that was persistent in our economy and in our system, and they realized that merely basing the income on agriculture was not uh, the best way forward. There were other efforts that needed to be made to ensure that people are able to earn a living for themselves by the end of the month. So, keeping that in mind, a number of programs were initiated by the Indian government, and the list of the programs that has been given is right in front of you. Integrated Rural Development Program, known as IRDP, the training of the rural youth for self-employment, also known as TRISEM, then the development of women and children in rural areas, known as DWACRA, supply of improved toolkits to the rural artisans, known as SITRA, and Swarn Jayanti Gram Swarozgar Yojana, known as SGSY, and finally, National Rural Livelihood Mission. Now, what we need to understand here is all these programs were run by the government at some point of time, and ultimately, they all presently, in present time, they have all merged into one by the name of 4.8 National Rural Livelihood Mission. So IRDP, Dwakra, DWCRA, that is Trisem, Dwakra, Sitra. First, all these four got merged into SGSY. A large SGSY scheme was initiated with all the four above as part of it, and now the government is also as a flagship in a mission mode. They are also in the process of including all these five schemes into one, so that all the benefits are given to the rural people under one umbrella. So we all understand that it's very difficult to go from door to door, window to window, trying to get the benefits out of various schemes, trying to liaison with different officers, trying to liaison in different um, offices. So the government understood and decided to try and give them all the program and policies under one umbrella, and that one umbrella is known as the National Rural Livelihood Mission as of now. But to be able to understand the National Livelihood Mission, Rural Livelihood Mission, it is extremely important to first understand what is IRDP, that is 4.3, Integrated Rural Development Program, or the training of the rural youth for self-employment, TRISEM, or DWACRA, or SIPA, or even SGSY. So we will begin with our understanding of these main programs that were run by the government at a particular point of time and are still in existence by a separate different name as an integrated scheme of National Rural Livelihood Mission. So, self employment and entrepreneurship development programs have always been a priority for our government. Now, as an introduction, I have highlighted certain things, these are important, but we'll be touching on other things also. But, general for our vision and clarity, I have highlighted these things. So we all know that the Indian village and Indian society is heavily and totally dependent on agriculture. And because of agriculture being season based, it is seasonal in nature. Most of the farmers were left unemployed and economically weak during those months where they were not growing the required they were not growing the crops as per the demands of their land or as per the demand of their soil. They were only able to grow a particular kind of crop in their soil during a particular period only. Rest of the periods are lull periods and they are left unemployed. Therefore, this became a very big and a severe problem. Along with that, the rapid population growth, inadequate supply of inadequate supply of other occupations, very very small holdings, land holdings of agriculture, of land. These farmers have very small land holdings, and they do not have availability of capital so that they can invest in something else and in another business or in another work or in another entrepreneur. That is why the government thought of coming to help for these farmers, and that is why these programs of employment generation programs and income generation programs were brought into place. Of course, as we all know that we are studying unit 4 under the block titled Poverty Alleviation and Employment Generation. So all these programs were basically aimed at generating employment for the rural people. Okay. Now, if we move ahead, self-employment and entrepreneurial development programs in India were mainly aimed towards the non-agricultural laborers. What do you mean by non-agricultural laborers? We mean those villagers who don't have a land of their own, or maybe if they have a land, it is so small that they have to go and till the land of other people. So they are actually, there are agricultural laborers who do tilling of lands on other people's uh, soil or land, and then there are laborers who do non-agricultural work. Then there are these craftsmen, artisans. There are these rural people. There are these small and marginal farmers. So most of these programs were mainly targeted towards these people. Now there is a term which is written as scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. I would like to open the forum and ask, what do you understand by the schedule? Do you have any understanding of scheduled caste and scheduled tribes in Indian context? Anybody? Would anybody like to throw light on what is your understanding of scheduled caste and scheduled tribes in India? This is a very important aspect for you to understand rural society, particularly in North India, the North Indian rural society. It's very important for you to understand what is the caste system in India. Does anybody know the caste system in India? And anybody who can raise their hand and answer?
Uh, Thank you so much, sir, for question. We have a different idea and different mind about the system of India, but unfortunately, we cannot explain you here. So we have studied before and some weeks ago. It will be impossible to explain you now.
Right. I will help you with that. See what happened initially. Very initially. That is how in the beginning of the caste system in India. What happened? And this I'm talking about ages and years ago. That people were there was division of labor in society, and people were given assigned different tasks to perform. So there were these learned men whose work was to study and educate the larger population. Then there were these. Then there was a group that were the protectors. They were supposed to protect the land and protect the tribe and protect their people from attacks. They were our defenders. Then there were these people who were actually into into trade and money and marketing and selling of products. So they were these business, if you can term it in today's language, they were these businessmen. And then finally there were the fourth class caste, which were the laborers, the laborers who were expected to do work for others. They were supposed to serve the upper three categories that I just mentioned. So there were these learned men, then there were these protectors, and then there were these businessmen. And the fourth caste was supposed to serve these three, whether in terms of growing crops and providing for food. Growing crops would mean providing food for the above three, or maybe tilling their land, or maybe serving them as servants, helping them in maintaining their houses, helping them in maintaining their livelihood, their livestock. So, with time and passage, these categories got defined in by birth. So, a learned man son would automatically get into or belong to the category of that learned man, despite the fact that that person might not be a very intelligent person. Yes, Mr. Hayatullah.
Sorry, sir. Sorry, sir. The slide is not visible here. We cannot see. We can see only your picture.
No, no, I have stopped the slide right now. I am showing you my picture only. It's a little away from the topic. That is why I'm not sharing the screen. Just give me 2 minutes. Okay. So, so what happened
Okay.
that with the passage of time, this system of division of labor got defined by birth. So, a child born to a learned man would belong to the learned category despite not being so intelligent. A, a child born to a warrior would become a warrior despite not maybe having the strength to fight. A person belonging to the business category would land up being a businessman despite not having the acumen and skills of accountancy and maintenance of records. And finally, a person born to the last and the lowest category would belong to that last and lowest category besides or despite being very intelligent, very brave, very hardworking, and with a with a very strong body, but would still belong to the slave category. So these four categories were called the castes in India. So we have the Brahmins, which is the learned class, then we have the Kshatriyas, which is the warrior class, and then we have the Vaishyas, who are the so-called the business class, and finally are the Shudras. The Shudras are the lowest category. Now, with the passage of time, eventually the Shudras were started, they were treated very badly and as untouchables. They were treated as untouchables. They were a sore to the eye. They were not allowed to enter the main premises where the general public lived. They were not allowed to draw water from the wells where the other three people were drinking their water from. They were not supposed to interact or be seen with the amongst the larger people. Finally, so this was the scenario. So you can understand what kind of a social economic backwardness and seclusion and exploitation and discrimination must have been faced by the Shudras or the lowest castes of Indian society, where they finally got constitutional protection and were given some reservation rights, and that is why they are now called the scheduled castes. And same case was with the tribal people. They were considered to be rustic, illiterate, raw, and were treated very badly by the larger society. And so the government also recognized their plight and categorized them also into a scheduled category and gave them certain reservation rights and privileges. And that is why they are called the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes. So though the government may have given them certain reservation rights so that they can be at par with the larger society, because since ages and years unlimited they have faced exploitation, still the mindset of the people have not changed. The upper caste till date do not consider the tribal society or the Shudras to be at par with them, and a lot of discrimination is being faced in the villages by particularly in the rural areas by these by the lower castes. So, coming back to my screen, when I say that, can you see my screen now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
can see.
Yes. So now
Yes.
coming back to this thing, that is why when we say that the target group of most of the self-employment programs and entrepreneurship programs were the small and marginal farmers, were the agricultural and non-agricultural laborers. Laborers means they do not have their own land to they don't have they are working for someone else. Then the craftsmen and the artisans, the scheduled castes and the scheduled tribes, and all the socially and economically backward category of people. Now, there were a number of factors that were affecting the entrepreneurship development in the villages. What were these factors? You can see in front of you. Availability, the objective or the target was to make available the capital to these to the target group. The efforts are is towards transforming scientific and technical system into a more adaptive one, making these target groups to adopt to scientific and technical methodologies and methods and ways. Then most of the government programs which were far reaching for the for the target group were made easily available. Trainings are being provided to the target group. There is ongoing research to ensure that there is a link between what is being produced and what is the demand of the market and the business. And also, the objective is to create an environment which is innovative so that we are able to meet the changing new demands of the people and the public and the market. So, coming back again, that all these programs were the IRDP, Integrated Rural Development Program, the DWACRA, that is the training of rural youth for self-employment, sorry, TRISEM, training of rural youth for self-employment, then DWACRA, that is development of women and children in rural areas, then Sitra, that is supply of improved tools to rural artisans, and SJSY, that is Swan Jayanti Gramin Swarozgar Yojana, and finally, as today, it stands as National Rural Livelihood Mission. So, as I said, it is important for you to finally understand National Rural Livelihood Mission, which is at a national level. It is important to first understand the other programs that are being run. Has anybody raised a hand or something? No? Okay, right. So, what is the objective of IRDP? The objective of our IRDP was to enable those people who were living below poverty line, and to provide them with income generating assets, and also to provide them with opportunities of being able to generate extra income in their family, extra or maybe generate enough income in their family so that they are able to bring themselves above the below poverty line. So, what was the method? The method of yeah, the main scheme was to provide them with loans and subsidies so that a person who is wanting to take up uh, uh, is wanting to start something of their own, the government provides them with loans and with subsidies. Um, then, as a part of the program, and as a part of the program, there were other efforts also that were made, such as supply of equipments to the cooperatives of milk producers, poultry farmers, and fishermen. So, besides agriculture, there were a lot of people who were into milk production of milk and milk products. Then there are farmers who are into poultry business. Then there are people who are into fishermen, and all these categories of people, if they are doing their work at a small scale, are are finding it are continuously having to face problems time and again because of umpteen reasons, because of perishability of their products. So they needed the government support, and if they need and the government also understood that if they want to bring themselves, or if they have to be brought above the poverty line, it is important that their scale of business needs to be increased, and that is why subsidies and loans were offered to these people so that they can expand their scale. Then transport facilities were also provided to cooperatives so that their products could reach the market, and many other assistances were also given in terms of marketing or the storage facilities or processing of their products, or maybe even setting up of livelihood farms. So these are the peripheral support that the government would be providing to is providing, yeah, provided to the people who were the beneficiaries of IRDP. As you can see further on that in 1999, the IRDP was redesigned in a new format by merging the other five. So initially, IRDP, Trisem, Dwakra, Sitra, and Million Wells scheme. One, two, three, four. These these schemes were being run along with IRDP. But finally, these all the other schemes got merged into IRDP, and a single IRDP scheme started came into existence with a merged format and merged objectives and merged um, uh, uh, target of the other five programs that were being run along with IRDP. Coming back to what I said, that eventually IRDP also got merged into Swarn Jayanti Gram Swarozgar Yojana, that is SGSY, and today SGSY is in the process of being merged with or merged into the National Rural Livelihood Mission. So if I'm talking about number of schemes were existing and now there is one scheme that is existing, that doesn't mean that the aims and targets of the other schemes have lost their vision. No, they have just been incorporated and become a part of this larger scheme. So So we have done we've understood IRDP. Now quickly we will try and understand TRISEM. As the word in itself says that it is a training of the rural youth for self-employment. So there I said in IRDP that the target group were these marginal small marginal farmers, or the agricultural and non-agricultural laborers, or I said the artisans, or and then I said that scheduled caste, scheduled type tribes. Here the target group were mainly the youth. So the youth were given training for self-employment. They were given training in various skills so that they can open their own entrepreneur. So, what was the purpose of the training? The purpose of the training under this program was to impart practical training and work experience to the trainees so that they develop a sense of self confidence and are able to take up an employment for themselves. And later on, this scheme became bigger, larger, and it was not only uh, aimed at self employment but also started its efforts towards wage employment. I'll open the forum for a question now. What do you understand by the term? What is the difference between the term wage employment and self employment? Just give me a second, I'll be back. Just think about it and I'll be back. Yeah. Anybody? Anybody?
Ma'am,
Can you repeat your question again?
Yeah. My question is that what do you what is your what do you yeah, what are the differences between what is the difference between self-employment and wage?
Yeah, thanks. Uh, I would like to express my idea about the employment and self-employment. Wage employment, I
Okay.
think as someone is working as a laborer or as a worker for someone or for an organizations or in maybe in a project site and earning a daily wage or like this. And self-employment, like someone have entrepreneurship and he might be as a owner or like farm of hens or like cookies products or other in his home or a small business or informal business. Maybe he is the owner of like such kind of activities, livelihood activities. So he's earning by himself with the way up entrepreneurships or some livelihood activities. Thanks.
Perfectly answered. Perfectly answered. Sayyid, Sayyid Shamim,
यस मैम मैम
आपको आपको हिंदी में सवाल पूछूं?
जी हाँ
ये बताइए, मैंने इनसे ये पूछा है कि वेज एम्प्लॉयमेंट और सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयमेंट में क्या फर्क होता है?
मैम
दिहाड़ी मजदूर,
यस प्लीज
दिहाड़ी मजदूरी और अपने खुद के काम में क्या फर्क होता है?
मैम आई थिंक सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयमेंट वो तो किसानों के लिए प्रोग्राम है किसानों के लिए जो 7 दिनों के लिए उनके लिए काम देना होगा गवर्नमेंट के थ्रू से और वेक प्रोग्राम वो जो है मतलब औरतों या जो भी वर्कर्स है सबके लिए एक जैसा पगार मिलना चाहिए कि मतलब वो औरत है या मर्द है तो
नहीं, सैयद जी, मेरा सवाल ये था कि इन दोनों में फ़र्क क्या होता है? दिहाड़ी मज़दूरी में और अपने खुद के काम में क्या फ़र्क होता है? तो ये अभी हमको मिस्टर मुमाद ने बताया कि फ़र्क ये होता है कि जो दिहाड़ी मज़दूर होता है, वो दूसरों के लिए काम करता है और जो सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयमेंट होता है, वो इंसान अपने खुद के लिए काम करता है। हाँ, मिस्टर मोहम्मद, मिस्टर हनीफ, मोहम्मद हनीफ। Mr. Mohammed Hanif, you want to say something? I think he's having some problems. Mr. Navidullah Nadrat.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I think self-employment is an entrepreneur, a business owner who want to just work independently, and there is lots of benefits that there is possibility of increase on their, for example, their how to say the wage, and but still there is also risk. But the wage employer is those who are, for example, working for the others as an employment as a staff, and there is a limitation, for example, as a fixed rate of the salary for the each month.
Perfect. Right. I have a lot of people who raise their hands, but since we've got the answer, I'll shoot another question to you. There is a, I'm not sharing the screen right now, but there was a statement that said that the government initially started with self employment, but later on, under the scheme that we are talking about, Tricent, they also got to wage employment. So that means the government must have realized that merely providing self employment is not solving the problem. There is also a need for wage employment. So, in your opinion, what do you think is a better option of income generation? or poverty alleviation. Would you call it wage employment, or a better option is सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयमेंट? सैयद जी, मेरा सवाल ये है कि हमारी सरकार ने पहले तो सिर्फ खुद का व्यवसाय, खुद की बिजनेस स्टार्ट करने के लिए, खुद का एंटरप्रेन्योर स्टार्ट करने के लिए लोगों को ट्रेनिंग दी, लेकिन बाद में उन्होंने दिहाड़ी मजदूरों के लिए भी, दिहाड़ी मजदूर तो नहीं कहना चाहिए, मतलब वेजेस के लिए भी, मतलब इनकम के लिए भी, दिहाड़ी के लिए भी लोगों को तैयार करने की प्रक्रिया शुरू करी यूथ को। पहले तो उन्होंने ट्रेनिंग दी कि यूथ अपना कोई बिजनेस, अपना कोई व्यवसाय पुटअप कर पाए, बट बाद में उन्होंने उनको दिहाड़ी वो कर पाए, उसके लिए भी उन्होंने ट्रेनिंग दी। तो ऐसा क्यों है? आपको क्यों लगता है कि सरकार ने ऐसा किया होगा? What do you think could be the reason that the government extended its program to include wage employment also? Anybody?
Please, sir, explain the question again.
Okay. There is a statement. Just let me share it. Can you see my screen now?
No, ma'am.
Not yet, ma'am.
Can you see it? Yeah.
No, sir.
Can you see it?
Now it is coming.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now I'm highlighting this thing, changing the color. I've done it in green. Can you see the green?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
Before we
Yes,
are
yes, sir,
saying that the purpose of the training under the program was to impart practical training and work experience to the people so that they can do gainful they can embark their own business or do something on their own. But later on, the scheme's scope was enlarged to cover not only self-employment but also wage employment. My question is, why do you think that the scheme was expanded to include wage employment training also? Initially, training was being given only for self-employment. Later on, the training was also expanded to wage employment. What could be the reason behind that? Is what my question I'm trying to ask.
Ma'am, should I add something?
Yeah, please.
So those people who do not have skills and capital, so I think that the wages is a good scheme for them.
Okay. So you're trying to say that, no, what is your answer? I couldn't get it.
Those people who do not have skills and also capital to start their own self business and shop or other things, so I think that the wage and salary is a better option.
Yes, definitely. Good. That's a good answer. So the government,
Ma'am,
anybody else?
can
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Can I
Hayatullah?
add something?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Ma'am, I think both wage employment and self-employment can be effective in alleviating poverty. But the better option depends on someone's own circumstances and performance. Because wage employment, it can provide us more stability and access to lots of benefits. But in self-employment, if we see self-employment provide us a platform to earn more. So I think it's dependent on the situation. We have to see which one is better for individuals.
Exactly. Whatever your answers is exactly what the government also realized, that it's not merely by giving them skills or giving them various skills. Putting up an entrepreneur is not an easy task. And that is why focus was then later on also targeted towards giving them training in wage employment. So that is why we say that the scheme was enlarged to cover not only self-employment but also wage employment. Right? Okay. Now we move ahead. The beneficiaries under this scheme, under TRISEM, that is training of the rural youth, they were given trainings for for artisans, as industrial and commercial workers, and this training varied from 6 months to 1 month. So it's a 6 months or a 1 month training that is given to these youth. Okay. Now, through the trainings, now I'm just giving you a small gist of the kind of the sectors in which the training were given to these people. So, as you can see, that the training was provided as for blacksmith, for poultry, for shoemaking, for cloth dyeing, for printing, carpet and road making, tractor driving. See, even tractor driving training was given. Tractor driving and repairs of tractors, general mechanic, pump set installations and repairs, welding, tailoring, carpenter, carpentry, printing, binding, basket making, radio repair, electric work, mushroom production of mushrooms, honey processing, cultivation of medical herbs and plants, poultry farming, fruit plant nursery, processing of fruits and vegetables, veterinary services on regular basis, collection, storage and marketing of livestock production, sericulture, installation and maintenance of biogas. Matlab, look at the diversity of the areas that were taken up. Look at the diversity of the areas that were targeted to train the youth into either to train the youth so that they could either get into self-employment or wage employment. So the government made their efforts towards trying to train the unskilled youth and make them skilled workers so that they can contribute better to the economy. Okay, now we come to the next scheme, which is Dwakra, that is development of women and children in rural areas. Children and women have never been the priority of most of the people, children particularly, because they are not the ones who are the voters. So, but they definitely are a vulnerable group, and there is no doubt about it. And the government knows this, that no scheme can be called totally complete if it does not include the women beneficiaries also. So the name of this program is Development of Women and Children in Rural Areas, that is DWACRA. This was also later on, this is one of the sub schemes of IRDP, as I told you, that all these DWACRA, TRISEM, CITRA, they all got merged into one scheme, that is IRDP, which later on IRDP also got merged into another scheme, which is SGSY. So here, Dwakra was an important scheme at that point of time, because it was targeted at organizing women into they were, women, organizing women into getting into small activities by forming small groups. So these women would form a group and do some income generation, self-employment, and income generation activities as a group, not individually, but as a group in support of each other. So, what were the main objectives? They led to the improvement in the quality of the life and a lot of other things. We can skip this. You can go through it. What were the main objectives of Dwakra? Uh, in addition to the economic support, Dwarka also helped in making women more empowered in decision making, in women trying to take on the ability of moving ahead in life, women as being earners, breadwinners, bread earners in the family. And they also, through these groups, were able to play pressure tactics on the policymakers to include them to think about their interest also when various programs and policies are being made. So indirectly, coming directly to the indirectly, what happened is that an individual woman was probably not so strong enough to be able to voice her opinion, but women were encouraged to form small groups. Women were encouraged to come into groups, clusters, and then do economic generation activities so that they can be in support they can be of support to each other. Now we come to the next scheme, which is supply of improved toolkits to rural artisans. The rural artisans were given subsidized toolkits to take up their work as an artisan. Because the rural people are so poor, at times they do not have, I mean, at times, yeah, most of the time, they do not have enough to be able to purchase high end machineries, well equipped machineries, technically sound machineries to be able to upgrade their products so that they are good enough to compete in the market. And that is why the rural artisans get left behind, and their products are not able to find a good market because they are not able to compete with the high end products available in the market. So the government decided to provide them with subsidies and subsidies for improved to purchase improved school toolkits, and at times also supplied them toolkits at a very nominal rate, extremely nominal rate. So this was Citra, and finally, as I was telling you, that
Ma'am, sorry for
Swat Jayant-
interruption.
yeah.
Uh, Under the toolkit support, so is there was any limitation on the cost? Or because they will pay only 10% and the rest will be paid by the government? So I think there will be also a limitation of the cost, because maybe if they need some things which is cost high, so of course there will be a limitation on that, or the government will pay any kids if they needs with any cost.
See, as you can see over here, as you can see from this whole paragraph, it very clearly says that under the scheme, the artisans, except for the weavers, tailors, and needle workers, and BD workers who were living below the poverty line, were given a kit of improved hand tools within a financial ceiling of 2,000.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right?
Thank you.
And
Yeah, yeah, thank you.
the artisans had to pay 10%, and the remaining was a subsidy from the government of India.
Mm-hmm.
But but for the power driven tools, the ceiling was 4,500.
Mm-hmm.
Are you getting me? And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
eventually, so it everything depended upon the kind of a tool that is being bought. But yes, there are ceilings and there are amounts. It was not as if one can buy an extremely expensive thing, because this is for the local artisans. The local artisans are not setting up factories. They are using these tools within their home. So they are not something which is a very capital intensive. Okay. But that's a good
Okay, thank you
answer.
very much, ma'am.
Thank you. That's a good question. Sorry. That's a good question. Thank you.
Thank
Right.
you.
Now
Thank you.
coming to Now coming to SGSY, as I told you that Trisem, Dwakra, Sitra, MSW, Ganga Kalyan Yojana, which we've not discussed, they all got merged into IRDP, and then finally IRDP got merged into a Swarn Jayanti Gram Swarozgar Yojana. Gram in India means gaon, means village. gram means village, and swarozgar, or in fact, rozgar means employment, and swa means self. So, gram stands for village, rozgar stands for employment, and swa stands for self. So, self employment for the rural, rural means rural people only. Okay, so Swan Jayanti Swarozgar Yojana. Okay, so what was the objective of this scheme? The objective of SGSY was to ensure that the weaker sections have a monthly income of at least 2,000 rupees. This is in rural areas I'm talking about. At least 2,000 rupees, so that they can uh, bring them up above the poverty line in India. Okay. Again, this program was a credit and subsidy based program. The salient of features of this program, I would request you to go through it because we're already at 6 o'clock. But yes, slightly, if I could say that here again, second point is very important, that they were organizing the rural poor into self-help groups. I told you now that villagers, there I said women, but here I'll say villagers were being encouraged to come together into clusters, form groups, and to take up income generation activities, so that the risks are not too high on a single person. So a group of people would come together. They would form an organization which is known as a self-help group. This group would, I will tell you this, the details about this group is given below here. These SHGs are homogeneous group, like-minded people come together. They are around 10 to 20 members in that group, and all of these members belong to below poverty line. Otherwise, there will be this battle of this power game would begin, that I am more powerful than you or more richer than you. So they're all like-minded, homogeneous group of belonging to the poor section, and mostly families from agricultural laborers or marginal laborers, artisans are the ones who form these groups. And once these groups are formed, they get in touch with the government. They open an account. Sorry, they get in touch with the bank. They open an account, and then the bank gives them loan to take up activities. And these loans are then the loan is then finally paid off by the people through their through the income generation activity whichever they have taken up. There are a lot of SHGs. This is an important aspect. Self-help groups are an important aspect. Go through it. This entire section details about how the SHG functions. It's as much as I've told you, that's just about it. That uh, that these groups come together to form a self-help group where they help each other and are in support of each other. They have each other's back to take up income generation activities, and once their program and their activity and their business is running, they start paying it off with the loan amount to the government. So this is it. Then finally, as I told you, that even SGSY, here you can see it is very clearly written. The government has approved the restructuring of SGSY as the National Rural Livelihood Mission, implemented in a mission mode. So now this SGSY is also in the process of being merged with the National Rural Livelihood Mission. So finally, we will be left with just a single program of National Rural Livelihood Mission, which would be an amalgam of all the programs that we discussed till now. So this is what the NRLM is all about. It basically started with in June 2011, and it was started with the belief that the poor have a very distinct capacity and they really want to come out of the poverty, and it is just that the government needs to hold their hand. They need to give them, the government needs to help them to give them meaningful livelihood so that they are able to come out of their poverty. And in this process they motivate the farmers and the people and all the sections living in the rural areas to take up self-employment actions and activities, to encourage them to take the trainings that are being provided by the government for skill development, encourage them to form groups, whether in through SHGs, and start income generation activities. So NRLM is all about a mixture of whatever we have just spoken, with the major principle that, again, that the poor have a strong desire to come out of poverty, and they have innate skills, they have innate capabilities. See, in villages, if you go something like a pickle making, or something which is a big thing, it has become a big business in urban areas, is a common part of every family. They make pickles, which is in every rural household is making pickles, and those pickles we can't find here in our urban markets. They make small household products, they make their own mats. They have these innate skills. It's just that these skills are not being able to are not harnessed in a proper manner. They are not able to use these skills to bring themselves above the poverty line. They're not able to use their skills and market it enough so that they become a name in a market. So this is what the government efforts are targeted towards and aimed towards. So NRLM is mainly about how livelihood can be provided to the rural people so as to pull them out and pull them up from the poverty pains. So that is it. I think we will take a break now. We've been studying from this. You can you can just go through them. This is not too much. And just last May, we can say that there are certain limitations that they've spoken about NRLM. That they said that see, India is a very diverse country. It has a lot of variations and a lot of uh, different type of sets. So envisaging and planning everything and putting them under one umbrella is a difficult task, but yes, it is something that is being aimed and efforts are being made to work upon it. So this is it as of now. And I'm sorry, I just got disconnected.
All right, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, so let us take a 5 minutes break, and then we'll come to the next unit. And today I think we'll just be able to do 2 units. We have enough time. All in all, I was going through the syllabus. There are 16 units that need to be covered. So I mean, we have 7 classes, so we'll try and see how we can accommodate. Next class, I'll try and take 3 units. We'll go through the other unit is not very, um, it's not as complex. Not it doesn't have so many programs and policies to be discussed. So just take a 5 minutes break, go have drink a glass of water, and we'll be back. It's 6:14 in my. It's 14 right now. Whatever, just take a 5 minutes break.
Ma'am, sorry for jumping. Actually, after 10 to 15 minutes, the participant will go for the Maghrib prayer. So if it is possible, let's resume, and we will just go after 10 minutes, and then we will give us 10 minutes for the Maghrib prayer.
Perfect, perfect. So you need 10 minutes for your prayer?
Yeah, but after
just
almost
all
10 to 15 minutes.
Okay, okay. I'll give
I'm
you a
sorry for
15 minutes.
jumping in. Just to add that in the west of Afghanistan, we need 20 minutes to go for Maghrib prayers.
Okay, learners, please tell me what is the time of evening prayer so that we may also note this.
We can take a break at 5:35.
No, but there is a problem
20
of
minutes.
eastern and western
Okay.
side now. There is a piece, these eastern and western side. Eastern people go right now at around this time.
No,
Okay.
I do agree with Ibadullah, but I think that 20 minutes more. So I'm recommending to not to go to the mosque. Even at least you can just pray it at the home. It takes
No,
almost 10 minutes.
the problem is not
Mhm.
going to the mosque, but the problem is the time. That if the time is not reached to the like the sunset is not occurred.
So Ibadullah, that is what I'm asking the
Yeah,
professor to
five.
just continue till 5:30, and then
Yes.
and
5:35.
5:30
Yeah,
we will take break.
yeah.
Yes, that will be good.
5:35 will be better. 5:35.
Yeah,
Ma'am,
okay.
they are saying that,
Thanks.
I'll
yeah,
take a
if you
class
can.
for 16 more
We
minutes. I'll take a class for 16 more minutes, and then you will take a break, and then you'll be back at,
After 10 minutes.
yeah, but then
yes.
we'll be left with only 15 minutes of class then, na?
Yeah, ma'am, I will notify you about the time, but it will be almost at after 15 minutes. So for now, we can just resume the class, and then
Okay,
I
so
will
let me do
notify.
one thing. I will take this class. Give me instead of 15, I request to give me 20 minutes. Sir, if it is okay with you, because I don't think it will make sense because by the time they will be back, the class would be over.
Yes, ma'am.
So I think let me extend the class for 15 minutes and then I'll call it a day. I mean, I'll close the class
Yeah, it can be done. Yes.
because it doesn't make sense to wait for only 5 minutes for them to return and all that.
Yes, yeah. So,
Right.
yeah,
So just give
ma'am.
me, I'll take a quick recap of the
Yes,
next
yes.
unit
Or take 15 minutes
and
and then the
we'll
class
then,
can be ended. There's no problem.
right, we'll
Yes.
do that.
Yes.
In fact, this is what we'll do, that we'll end the class enough for you to, timely enough for you to attend your prayers. Right. So let me quickly move ahead again. Can you see the screen?
Not yet, ma'am.
No,
Very
sir, we
soon.
cannot.
It'll be visible in a minute's time.
Now it is visible.
Yeah, yeah. Can you see Unit 5?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, please proceed.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So Unit 5 is actually a part of Block 2. This is a part of Block 2. We've already completed Block 1. Unit 5 is the first unit of Block 2. which talks about universal literacy and elementary education. Now, this unit is merely about the importance of education, and we all know how important how important a role education plays in bringing about poverty alleviation, and the government is aware of the importance of education, and that is why various programs and policies are being run to ensure that all and everyone in India is educated, particularly at the elementary level. So, what do you mean by elementary education? What is the elementary medieval? What is the elementary divisions in your country?
From class 1 to 6
And
as
then what is
elementary.
it called? Hence, what is it called? Then it's called the middle school.
Yes, till 12th class.
Till 12th class is the middle school, and then we start with the higher education.
Yes, university bachelor degree.
Yes. So a similar system is here prevalent in Indian society also. I will not go into the details because we have a new national education policy that has come into being, which is maybe of a little relevance here, but not directly, though. But yes, we talk about elementary education in our Indian context is also from the primary level, and the government ensures that primary education is provided to everyone and each and every one of the Indian society, particularly in the rural areas. So we have a lot of programs, we have a lot of policies, a lot of initiatives, a lot of projects that are all aimed and targeted towards providing universal literacy and elementary education. So in this unit, there is this program which is known as a Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan. How the government has made it a right, a fundamental right of every individual to education. And then they have spoken about there are a number of programs that are there, which the programs and schemes which are targeted towards ensuring that maximum number of people come to the schools to take their education, to be educated, to be literate, and to be able to benefit from the efforts that the government is making towards making towards ensuring that the society has is free from illiteracy. So uh, we have these programs. So if we scroll up, so I'll come directly to the Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan because that is one of the most important programs of primary of for education and universal education. So this is the universal literacy and elementary education, one of the very important, very important programs of universal elementary education, and that is the Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan. Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan. What do you mean by Sarv? Sarv means total. Shiksha means Sarv means total. Shiksha means literacy, and Abhiyan means a campaign. So, a total literacy campaign. This is what it is known as. That is what it is known in English. The total literacy campaign. This campaign was launched in 2001, and it was aimed to ensure that all children from the age of 6 to 14. 6 would mean here we would mean class 1, and 14 would mean according to that dynamics if you calculate. So which class would that mean? Do that calculation quick. If 6 is class 1, then 14 would be class?
Maybe
Class
7.
8.
Class 7 will be class
If 6
7 or
is
8.
class,
8.
yes, 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 yes. Okay. So a child who enters into class at the age of 6, from the aim is to ensure that every child from the age of 16 to 14 has attended school and has completed 8 years of schooling, which means from class 1 to class 8. And it is an extremely important component, and it is a scheme that provides makes various efforts to ensure that the children go to the school, and it is one of the mission programs of the government. It is one of the mission programs of the government where 0 to 4, from 6 to 14 years of age of children are to go to school to get elementary education, and this is a fundamental right for them. And this became a fundamental right in the 86th Amendment of our Indian Constitution. So you can see that the Constitution was amended. The Constitution was amended to ensure that universalization of education occurs in Indian society. And not just universalization of Indian education, but this has to be in a very time bound manner. And that is why the 86th amendment of the Indian Constitution ensured or spoke about providing compulsory, free and compulsory education to children below children from the age of 6 to 14, which was and is their fundamental right. It is a fundamental right. So if we go to other things, if we saw what and this not only this Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan is not does not only focus on elementary education, but also has other focuses in mind, other aims in mind, and which, as you can see, as opening of new schools and alternate schooling facilities should be provided to those where they have no school facilities. There are certain now far-reached areas. There are certain difficult terrain areas where setting up of schools is not that easy. So the government ensures alternative schooling facilities there. The Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan also aims at strengthening the existing school infrastructure by construction of new schools and additional classrooms, then safe drinking water, having toilets. One of the major reasons why the girls drop out from school is because of the non-availability of toilets. There is a major problem where girls during their periods, when they start their menstrual cycle, they drop out of school because there are no toilets available in the school. So the Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan understood this problem through the various studies that were being conducted, the various results that came out, that what is the reason behind the dropout of children. And one of the major reasons for their dropping out was for the girls was because there were no toilets. So safe drinking water, facility of toilets, and all. Then above one of these very very important things which initially did not cross the mind of people, and we were not able to understand that why is it that children are dropping out of school. Another very important thing which got incorporated with the Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan with the SSA is the midday meals. The schools in all these government schools are they provide a midday meal to the children, and these meals are free. Education through the Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan in the government schools are free of cost. They are provided with free textbooks, they are provided with free uniforms, they are provided with lots of teaching, learning aids. They are provided free meals. Everything is being done by the government to ensure that children come and take on to their complete their elementary education, and it in a universal mode, so that nobody is left behind. As I already told you, this the right to education was also one of the efforts, very important efforts to ensure universalization of education, and this was done through the 86th Amendment in the year 2002. Please go through it. Right to education is an important aspect. This unit talks about it in detail. Very interesting, very simple. It is just pointed, point blank, not complicated at all. And so this we have already done. I have already told you that the Satshiksha speaks about the school structure, facilities in schools. It talks about increasing the number of teachers. The quality of education needs to be improved. There need to be assessment of various assessment methods are to be adopted to see how the children are progressing in their education. Effort should be made towards decreasing the dropout rate, and of course teacher management and training is also a part of it. There is a part which deals with the management and the administrative functionings of these schools. So said and all, the universalization of elementary education aims, it's not just sending a child to the school, it is also it is also ensuring that school is a place where the child is comfortable, happy, and willing to come. The midday meal, as I told you, is one of the very, very important programs of the government where they give where they give nutritional support to primary education. So when we found our target group in the schools, we knew that there was a nutritional deficit in our country, especially among the growing children and the uh, the younger lot of our country, and nutritional support needed to be provided. So what could be the best place than the schools? So all the primary schools are given a midday meal through the midday meal scheme, and this has really strengthened the universalization of elementary education mission vision of our country. And cooked under this scheme, as you can see, meals are provided to boost their energy levels. Cooked meals are served with calorie values. I will just highlight this. This is important enough for you to understand what is the effort of the government. Cooked meals are served with a calorie value equivalent to around 100 grams of wheat or rice per student per school day. So you can imagine the amount, the quantum of food supply, the quantum of management, the quantum of arrangement that is being done at national level throughout everywhere for the betterment and for the universalization of elementary education, and for ensuring that every child of our country is healthy, is not nutritionally deficit, and is educated. So that amount, this huge amount of work, administration, arrangements are put into place to ensure a healthy future, a healthy present, and a healthy tomorrow. So the number of children that are covered under this program has risen from just look at the numbers. I mean, it has risen to it's just multifold. And while it started with us with just one state, it is now all over, everywhere, covering a large number of districts. This you can see from the highlight that I have made. I am rushing because I know you have your prayers. I think with this we can sum up this unit. I can take up, if people want to leave, they can leave.
Ma'am, should I stop recording now?
Yeah, you can stop the recording. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Anybody?